Hi, in today's video I'm going to be taking a look at creating a screenshot from a video with the timecode added to the file name. So what this will allow you to do is take screenshots and actually easily identify where in the video they came from. And we're going to be doing this with MPV and FFmpeg. And there's a little tip here on the Arch Wiki about how you do this. And what I've done is slightly modified the code because they have a space in here, which is not good on Linux. So what I'm going to do is come across here and show you how this works. So what I'm going to do is open up Big Buck Bunny here. And I'm just going to stick this on top. Okay, so I can come through the video like this and press S on the keyboard. What you'll see here is it's actually created a screenshot with the current playhead position to the millisecond added to the file name, so you can see exactly where that screenshot has come from. So the way that this works, if I just switch across to my MPV config, what we have in .config mpv mpv.config is this option here, screenshot-template equals, and then double quotes, %f dash this little section here, which is the actual time code, and this bit of code after it. And that's all we need to do to actually get this working with MPV. So as you can see here, we have the image, and that corresponds to that section in the video. So I just quit that. What we can also do is we can control MPV from within Emacs using the Emacs mpv.el package. So what I'm going to do is open this up again, and I covered this in a previous video, always on top. What I did was in a previous video showed you how you could set up Diode so that it would run the mpv.el package. So I've got Emacs focused here. If I press F2 on the Hydra, bring up the Hydra, you can now scroll through this video like this. Right. Come through. There we go. There's a good frame. And I can just press S on the keyboard. And what you'll see is it's actually taken a screenshot there. If I just quit that, you can see it's now taken a screenshot from that exact position in the video. And you'll see here we've actually got hours, minutes, seconds, and milliseconds. So this is really accurate, and this is an addition I've added to the MPV package because the MPV package uses org timer. So what I did was modify the org timer so that it uses milliseconds. So that's how we get in the milliseconds here. So what I'm going to do next is actually show you this with FFmpeg. And the way I'm going to do that is with a little script I wrote called extract frame. So extract frame -h. You can see here, extract a frame from video as a PNG file. What you do is you give it the -i option, the input, and then the -s option and the timecode you want to seek to. If you specify an out file name with the -o option, it won't have the timecode. So you just leave off the -o option and it will automatically create the output file name with the input file name and the timecode added. I'll show you what it does. Extract frame. So we can run either the -i option first or the -s option. -s will do hours, minutes, seconds. So we'll do, say, 1 minute 30 and give it Big Buck Bunny. And what you'll see here is Big Buck Bunny dash and then the time code in brackets there. We've got the same output format as that we have with MPV. So if I just switch across here to the desktop, you'll see we now have that frame extracted there. So that's really helpful, because you can, rather than just having an arbitrary file name like Big Buck Bunny, what I was doing previously with the actual date and time, that's not really helpful in knowing where the frame came from the video. So this is much more convenient. So let's just have a quick shift the actual script. Down one. So this is the extract frame script. This is the usage function that you get when you run -h. It will print this out. So if I run extract frame -h, you can see it prints this help message out, showing you how to actually use the script and the options that you can provide to it. Also note, if you don't provide a time code to actually seek into the video, it will default to the start of the video, which would be 000. So if I do extract frame and just give it bigbuckbunny.mkv, what you'll see here is the file name is got the first frame of the video here, 000, because we didn't provide a time code that we wanted to seek to, so it defaults to that time code and then it adds it in to the file name there. So that's the usage section. Then what we have is the error messages, check the number of arguments passed to the script. Then we have get ops, and this is how you create a script that accepts options with like -i, -s, and -o, -h. You can see here, these are the options here that we're providing, and those correspond to these items here in the case statement. So what happens is you have -i, and that creates a variable that is equal to the opt-arg, and the opt-arg is the argument passed to the option. So if you give it -i bigbuckbunny.mkv, in file is going to, the variable in file will be equal to bigbuckbunny.mkv. Likewise with the seconds option, that's going to be equal to the time code, and so on. And then what we have down here is this is how we get the input name and the input without the path. So this allows us to get the input file name without the extension and without the path, so that we can use an output file name. So what we have here is the seconds default, and out file equals in file name -seconds default.png. So this is like a fallback. So if you don't provide a seconds option, it's going to fall back to the default, which is that. Yeah. Then we have the function here. This is the bit of FFmpeg code. So you can see FFmpeg hide banner, seek to seconds or seconds default, the in file, and then we extract the image with the out file or the out file default, which is how we add the time code. And then finally we run the function with extract in file down there. So that's how that script works. And again, that will basically allow you to extract a frame from a video really quickly. Say we want 3 minutes 29 or something, input bigbuckbunny.mkv. You can see there we've now got a file with that exact time code appended to the file name, so it makes it much easier to see where the stuff actually came from. So that's how you can generate screenshots with a time code, either using FFmpeg or MPV. And again, all you need to do for MPV is come into your .config, mpv.config, and add screenshot-template. This %f is going to be the file name, and then I removed the spaces here because otherwise it has to escape them on the file name, on the command line, which is a pain. Once you've done that, and you open there we go. Open a video with MPV, pause it, stick it on top. You can now come through and play the video and just press S on the keyboard whenever you want to take a screenshot. And I think there is an option to specify there might be an option to specify the default location of screenshots, but by default, I think it saves them to the same directory as you launched MPV from. So whenever I take a screenshot, it's going to be saved onto the desktop here because that's where I've opened the video file from. So all I need to do is actually just come through. I can press O on the keyboard, and that is going to show me the. I think you got to press. I think there's different. Is it capital O? Yeah. Okay. So if you press O on the keyboard, it will toggle the OSD showing the playhead position there. If you press capital O, it will keep it open there. And what you'll see here is we have the hours, minutes, seconds, and milliseconds. And what I just need to do is actually come across. Let me just move that across a second. There's actually an option you need to put. Yeah. What you need to do is add this to your mpv.config osd-fractions. And what that does is that's what enables the millisecond output. And that's so you will get the milliseconds in both the on-screen display and in the screenshot file name that you save. So press capital O on the keyboard so that you can actually see the playhead position here. And then S, if I just switch back to this tab here, you'll see it's actually taken the screenshot. And what it also does is it appends V1. I presume that comes from that extra bit of code, so you could, faff about with that. So we got the screenshot there. You can just keep coming through. Go, another one. So really easy to come through and take screenshots and actually see where in the video they've come from. Okay, so the other thing that we can do is create org files and add MPV links to them. So I'll show you what I mean. So what we have here is a org file, startup content, and we just get rid of these. And what I'm also going to do is actually show you how you can run scripts, blocks of code from org source blocks. So what I'm going to do, I'll cover the async thing in a second, but I'm going to put in some links. So as you know, with an org file, if you press Control-C, Control-L, you can actually insert a link to a file. So if I do Control-C, Control-L, it gives me this prompt here with link colon and then these various types of links. And if you look down here, you'll actually see one called MPV. So if I type MPV and then press return, what it's going to do is actually prompt me for a file to insert. So Big Buck Bunny. Now give it a description so I can call it. I won't give it a description. I'll show you why. So what that's done now is it's actually created a link to this file, but instead of the file prefix you normally have, it's got MPV. And what happens now is if I run Control-C, Control-O on this link, what's going to happen is it's going to open with MPV. And there's a bit of code that we put in our Emacs init.el to get this to work, but as you can see here, that's now opened with MPV. I'll pause that. I just stick it on top. Okay, we've got the video up here, and what I can do is shift focus back to Emacs here. And if I bring up the Hydra with function 2, you can see now I can control MPV using Emacs. So I can come through like this. And what I can do is I can actually insert the playback position. And this is useful because you can create a list of time codes, and you can easily jump to those time codes just by pressing a keyboard shortcut. What I'm going to actually do is I'm going to put this in a source code block. I'm going to put the time codes in a source code block. Oops. Let me just delete that a second. And the reason why is I'm just going to put it in a... I know this isn't actually a shell script. The time codes aren't a shell script. You could use the example org block. But the reason we're going to use a source code block is because you can export a source code block. So it easily allows you to export the time codes to a text file. And that's useful because you can then use those time codes with FFmpeg to actually chop the video up. Let me just have some tea. So what I'm going to do is actually activate the Hydra. And you can see here what I can do is insert the playback position, insert a new line. The reason we got these two is so that I can press I on the keyboard, and then I can press M, and you can see it's added a new line under that time code. I can now carry on playing, all right, and then press I again, and it's inserted that time code there. So I can carry on doing this. Here we go, that. And what I can now do is if I escape the Hydra there, I have a keyboard shortcut which is bound to Control X comma, and that runs MPV seek. So you can see here I can now actually seek to these points in the video. So I'm just moving up and down with evil keys, you know, J and K. And then when I'm on the time code here, I run Control X comma. I'm going to jump to that point. So what you can then do is actually create a you can put some comments in here. So you know what we could do is we could do we can, you know, something like title. We can come through into the next code. Bonnie gets up. Oop. Oop. What was that one? That was so that's a blank. Okay, there we go. Apple. So what we've got here is a way to actually mark stuff out in the video. And then what we can do is we can say jump to this time code like that. Bring up the Hydra. Press S on the keyboard. Press S on the keyboard. Going to do it. Is it just not showing the... let me switch to the desktop. Move these ones. Okay, so I should be able to, from within Emacs, bring up that and press S. Yeah, okay, it's not, that's one thing I do remember. For some reason, it's not showing the message sometimes in MPV that it's taken a screenshot the same way that it does when MPV's got focus and you press S on the keyboard. So you can see here it has actually taken those screenshots. Let me just come back here. You can see there. And what you'll notice is even though I have taken the screenshot at the same place here, the time code, the bit of code in the mpv.config applies v1 and v2. So you can see even though we've got the we've taken the screenshot at the exact same time, but it hasn't clobbered the original file. It's created a new version with v2. Okay, so let me just switch back here. So as you can see, I can come across here. I can jump to that point, press the Hydra, take the screenshot, escape, move on. And if I come across here, you'll see got those 2 screenshots taken there. Okay, so what are some other things we can actually do with MPV and Emacs? So what you can do is there's a package called ob-async, which allows you to run commands asynchronously in the background. And for ages, I had an issue with an error saying error in process sentinel and it not working. And I actually found a post on Reddit with a fix. Remember where I put it. Yeah, okay. So this is the actual fix here, ob-async sentinel fix. Defund no hide overlays, org fun and rest args. Setq org babel hide results overlay nil. Advice add ob-async org babel execute source block before no hide overlays. And basically what that does is fixes an issue with that package not working. And what I'm going to show you here is you can have a source code block. You can see here we've got these org source code blocks. You can see here begin source sh. What you can do is on each individual source code block you can run this you can add this option async -t. And what that does is that allows this command to run in the background asynchronously rather than looking up Emacs till the command is actually finished running. So you can do it like this by adding this option to each source code block. But what you can also do is actually on the top command here, you can see here we've got test. We've got this properties section here, properties and then end. And what we've got here is header args async t. And what that does is that's going to apply to all the source code blocks in this document. So what I'm going to do is actually come through and show you how change this to Big Buck Bunny, or should I just change that to input? I'll keep it as Big Buck Bunny. Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do is actually show you how we can extract a frame with source code blocks and have the file, the link to the file that we've, the extracted frame, put as a link into Emacs, and then we can then toggle the image on and off. Okay, so this is going to be with FFmpeg. So what we've done is first of all, we've got this section up here under the top heading, properties, header args async. Okay, extract frame. So what we've got here is this is my sort of notes. Yeah, this is how you actually toggle inline images. What you can do is you can actually sorry to get sidetracked, but on images what you can do is on links to images you can run Control-C, Control-X, Control-V to toggle inline images. What you can also do is add inline images up here, and that will enable it so that when you open the file, the image is already there. Okay, all right, let's get on to this extracting a frame. So what we've got is name, header, and then a source code block. Let me just delete this results down here. So we're giving the, first of all, we're giving the block a name. We're just calling it extract. And then what you'll notice is we've got these things here: header, var, file, seconds, results. So let's go through these. What this is this is setting a, this is like a script where you'd create a variable. So just imagine you've got a shell script and you've got a variable called file, and you set it to the file name of a video you want to process, in this case Big Buck Bunny. Same thing. What we're basically doing is, you can see here we've got these variables, file and seconds, and you can see here how it's quoted exactly as you would in a shell script. Double quotes, $, the variable name there. But those correspond to these. File corresponds to this, seconds corresponds to this. So instead of actually hard coding the file name and the seconds in here, we were actually getting them from this bit up here. Okay, in the next bit we've got is results, file, frame.png, export results. So what we can actually do is we can put the outputted file as a link in the results, but to do that, unfortunately, what we need to do is put in the file name. Can we actually put in the, I'm wondering, can we put in the seconds? Can we reference this seconds in the file name here? So what I have to do is I'll try that in a minute. But basically what we can do is press Control C here. Okay, now we're getting the error in process engine. Oh, for fuck's sake. So after going through all that, I hit the error that I was saying that thing fixed, and that's the first time that's sort of happened. See if that works now, or if I have to restart Emacs to get it working after all this. Error in process sentinel. Oh, for God's sake. So this was supposed to fix this issue. Okay. There we go. Right. See if this will work now. Oh, of course. Oh, yeah. There we go. So that thing, generally speaking, has been working much better for me. But as you can see, I ran Control C, and what we've got here is results. You see here, results extract, and that corresponds to the name of the block up there. So that's why you name them, basically, extract spelling. Okay, so I can now run Control C, Control X, Control V, and what you'll see there is it's now displaying that file inside of Emacs. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll pull that off, and if I think the thing is inline images. Okay, and if I reopen that and come to extract frame, you can see that the image is now automatically enabled. It's visible basically. So you might not want that. I don't know if there's any performance issues actually with having that enabled, but I'll just disable it. Okay, so that's how we can do that with FFmpeg. And the important thing to note, if I just zoom in here a bit, get this to work, this results section here, this section here is how you take the results and create a file with the file name, and you can see export results. The important thing here is this standard out. So what we're doing is, rather than adding the file name here to the end of the FFmpeg command, you know, like frame.png, yeah, what you do is you use dash, and that signifies standard out. And what that does then is getting it to work with this section here, so we can put in the actual link. So let's move on. What we can also do is actually get the duration from the video. Let me just change this to Big Buck Bunny. Big autocomplete. Yeah, there we go. With Hippie expand. So we've got same kind of deal here. We're getting the source code block and name, duration. Then we got the header, creating a variable, in this case called file, which corresponds to bigbbuckbunny.mkv, which is in the same directory as this org file. Then we have a ffprobe command here, ffprobe v error show entries format sexagesimal, output default no print wrappers no key, and then the file. So sexagesimal is in hours, minutes, milliseconds. Default no print wrappers no key sets it so that it doesn't print like duration before the actual output. And if I run Control C, you can see here we have the results, and it's giving us the duration in sexagesimal time, hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds. So this is really useful because you can also set it to process a whole directory of stuff and output everything into the current org file. And this is useful because instead of switching to the command line, running an FFmpeg command, maybe redirecting the output into a text file, you can actually come through, have all the steps you want in an org file, and actually go through and just process everything and have the output in the same file. So it's really useful. So that's how we can get the duration. What we've got here is the extract frame script. So this is the script I was showing you previously, and we can do exactly the same thing here. But what I want to do is figure out, can we actually reference this seconds here instead of running frame? So I'm just wondering if we can use the same kind of format. We run seconds. Oop. So my idea is that rather than actually just having it output frame.png, I want the time code. So I'm just wondering if this will work or not. Okay, no, that didn't work. You can see it's just actually printing seconds. So I'm just wondering if there is a... Oops. Thank you, bugger. No. I thought there might be a way to actually put in the seconds, as it were, because it's creating a you know, something called frame.png. Okay, file frame not. If I run Control C, Control X, Control V. Yeah, sometimes I've found this that it doesn't actually put the output in. So I may have just buggered up that bit of the demo. Let me just check. I've got, I think, frame PNG. And just run it up the top. Okay, see, I think that might have worked now. Okay. So it's good to show you things that sometimes don't work as well, because otherwise you come across the same issue. So sometimes what I found is with things creating images, there might be some issues, and it may just be because I've faffed about with the command here. Let's have a look at another thing we can do, see if we can get this working. Waveform. Okay, see if I can get this to... Okay, so what this will do is actually create an audio waveform as a PNG. If this works. Okay, there we go. So what that's done is use a script I wrote called waveform that uses FFmpeg to create a waveform of the audio from the video or audio file, as it were, and save it as a PNG. So that's how you can actually go through and actually run sort of blocks of code from an org file and have the output put back into the org document. And again, you want header args async. And let me just go through and delete those PNGs. Another quick tip is, I think if you're using Diode Plus, what you can do is actually mark multiple files by their extension. So you can see here I've got these PNG files. This second one here, I'll just delete the second one. What you can do is actually mark files by their extension by running asterisk period. So if I run asterisk and then period and diode, you can see here mark extension default PNG. So I can now mark those, and I can then press something to delete them. Was it X? No, delete. Oh, I thought you could. Let me just remark that. I thought there was a command to actually then delete all the marked files. Diode delete. Yeah, was that? So maybe it's a capital D. Yeah, okay. So yeah, capital D to do diode delete, whereas normally you'd run something like D, just lowercase d, to mark a file for deletion, and then X and Y. But you can also mark a file and then run capital D. So again, that's how you can extract a still from a video using MPV or FFmpeg. So again, come out of that. Very simple. Once you've got MPV up, you've got the setting in your MPV config. Another top tip is you can use period and comma to go backwards and forwards. Period goes forwards, comma goes backwards. Seeking backwards is a lot slower because it has to decode the video backwards from memory or some weird stuff. So seeking forward is a lot quicker. So if you want to advance frame by frame, just press period. And again, you can press capital O up here to show you the on-screen display, showing you the current playhead position here and the total length of the video, as well as the percentage of the video you're actually into. And all you have to do is press S on the keyboard, and what you'll see, screenshot, bang. It's going to give you the screenshot with the file name and the hours, minutes, seconds, and milliseconds you can see there. And the things you need to do to get that set up with the two things: .config, mpv, mpv.config. Okay, so this is my mpv.config. And what you can do is create different profiles. So here we've got the hardware decoding profile. Give it a description. Video out, hardware decoding. VAPI, we can set a message level. So when you're running MPV in the terminal, you don't get spammed with a load of messages. Just stick it to FFmpeg fatal. What I do is I set cache to no for internet streams, and that improves performance with things like MPD, dash streams, and M3U8 streams. Then we have the YTDLP format here, so best video, 1080p, best audio. So I don't load up 4K videos and just play them at 1080p. The two important things we needed to do were OSD fractions. That's how you enable the output of milliseconds in the on-screen display, and it also seems to be used to create the timecode for the file name. So having OSD fractions will show it in both the on-screen display and in the file name of the screenshot that you created. Here's where we set the audio device, also Pipewire. This is for YouTube subs, so this will automatically set YouTube subs to work when you play a video using MPV that's on YouTube. Sub auto fuzzy. You need YTDLP raw options, sub language, and then put in your language. Write subs, write auto subs. What you also need to do is install Noto color emoji and use that as the sub font. And the reason for that is a lot of YouTube titles will have an emoji in them. This actually won't be used by MPV to display the subtitles, but if you don't use a font that has got emoji support, the subtitles won't work. It's just an issue I just come across a while ago. And the next thing we need, apart from OSD fractions, is the screenshot template, as you can see here. And again, I'll remove the spaces. And I think so what we have here is this %f, that's the file name, dash, and then we have the playhead position, basically the time code in there. And this this section here is how it appends V1, V2. So even if you create screenshots at the same timecode position, it won't clobber the original file. It'll create a next one called V1, V2 with the same timecode. So that's the end of that profile. Then what I do is create another profile called cache. And what you can do is actually reuse the same profile. So what we've got here is we've got this profile here called HW and decode. And we've got this next one here called cache. We give a description. And what we can do is we can actually include the previous profile, but then alter or override a particular setting. So in this cache profile, we can set cache to be auto. And what that allows you to do is then run mpv -- profile equals cache to play videos with a cache. You know how you get the little grey bar coming out showing you how much you've loaded. So that's how you can actually override a profile as well. So that's the settings you need to actually get MPV to output the video with the time code and milliseconds in the file name. As you can see there, we can open it, and that's just really helpful so that you can see where that has come from in the video. And also what you can do is actually I can actually copy this time code. I just come across to here. Can I just paste this in? There you go. Just remove that there. So what I can do, you know, so if I've taken the screenshots with MPV, but I want to use them in the org file, I can just copy the time code from the file name. Oops. Wrong keyboard shortcut. Here we go. Open that up and stick it on top. And now I can jump to that exact point, Control X, comma. I'll show you that in my MPV config. So you can see having the time code is really useful, because then you can, you know, reuse it in something else like this. We can also use it to chop the video up as well with FFmpeg. So let's have a look at the org file. See if there's anything I need to cover. Not org file, Emacs init.el. Okay. So let me just scan through his sort of startup, Melper. Yeah, your package selected packages. You know, these are the packages you want to have installed. Google Translate is really useful. That works with Translate Shell. I use that quite a lot because I get comments from people, you know, Germany or Spain or wherever, just on YouTube videos. And what happens is when I get a notification from YouTube, it comes up in Emacs using the Emacs Desktop Notification Center as a little sort of pop-up down here. And I can then actually run Google Translate and translate the comment. Okay, so other stuff here, ob-async is what you need. You want MPV as well. Okay, let's have a look through here. Just scanning through for stuff that's relevant. Do mode line, tab bar. This there's an option with Emacs 29 that allows you to hide the kind of bar that comes up with all the drop downs, you know, showing you files and everything. And what you can actually do is hide that and replace it with an image. So you can see here I've got this little image up here. I click that, I have the access to all that, and I did a video about that as well. So that's a really nice feature. Just having, you know, the issue is if you've got the tab bar, it doesn't take on the same formatting as the rest of the frame. Okay, you can see that that's how we set the tab bar menu bar button, and you can actually use emoji icons and stuff for that. So that's nice. Evil key bindings. Yeah, this is relevant to a video I did about integrating MPV with Diode, so that you can, as a keyboard shortcut on a file in Diode, and it will open with MPV using the mpv.el package, so that you can control MPV from within Emacs rather than just opening MPV as an external application that you can't control. So you can see here what I've got is Evil Collection, Diode Mode Map, Diode Find File, MPV, and that corresponds to a function I created that I showed you in a previous video on how we actually get that to work. Right, tree sitter and ob-async. So what you need to do is actually require ob-async for asynchronous running of org shell, org source blocks. Okay. And previously I was using open with to open MPV. So previously I was running open with and then running listing file types and then running MPV and opening videos that way. But the problem is that you can't control MPV running if you open it that way. We've got tree sitter. This is how you can set up tree sitter so that you've got bash syntax highlighting. And what I do is I actually I write all my shell scripts as shell scripts, as not bash scripts. And this is how you can set shell scripts to use the bash tree sitter grammar. So if I open bin, extract frame, what you'll see down here is that this is a shell script here, but it's actually listing it as bash down here. And that is because of this section down here, add to list, three sort of languages, source a list, bash, path to the Git repository, then add to list, major mode, remap a list. We're remapping shush mode to bash TS mode, which is the tree sitter mode. And that's how we get the nice syntax highlighting here, as you can see, for this script. So this really helps me make sure there's no errors and everything's working properly. So that's how we can actually get tree sitter to work with shell scripts, because there's no tree sitter shell script grammar. But bash is close enough. So okay, set queues or anything in here. Just going through all this stuff. Completion. Yeah, there's also a section. What I wanted to show you while I'm thinking of it, when I come down to the bit about it, is how we insert the links. So here's diodx. So I've got diodx set up. Also for diode, what you want to do, set these options -AHLV, and what that does is that will list things in diode starting from 0. So typically, if you've got a load of files like a 1 to 100, you'll find it will be like 0, 10, 11. It'll list them like that rather than 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. What that will do is fix that issue. This is some stuff for hiding dot files. Okay, we just scroll through diodfd, ripgrep. I'm just scrolling through just to see if there's anything related. Okay, so these are org related things. Okay, so this is org babel suppressed your net execute code message. So as you can see, when I was like doing things like, if I just delete that, see if I can run that again. Okay, typically when you run press Control-C on an org source block, what you will get is a prompt saying, do you want to evaluate this block of code, yes or no? Which is really annoying. So what you can do is add this bit of code, and that will prevent that. Okay, seeing if there's anything else related to org mode and running stuff. Okay, org file apps, custom faces. Okay, so MPV. So in previous video, I showed you how you can set the default options for mpv.el so that you can pass in arguments to MPV on how you want it to start. So you can see I've got this quoted out at the moment, but this is how you would get MPV to automatically start full screen on the second display. So 0 index, 0 would be a laptop screen, screen 1 would be a second monitor. So if I was to uncomment that and evaluate it, whenever I opened a video from within Emacs, it would automatically move that video to my second display and put it full screen, rather than me having to do it manually. So that's a big help. Okay, and this is what you need here. Org MPV complete link, this section down here. And what that does is that allows you to put in a link. So I'll just here. There we go. So if I'm on Control-C, Control-L, here I can now type MPV, press Tab, and then press Return. It's now prompting me for a file to insert, so I can run bigbuckbunny.nkv, press Return. I can now give it a description. You can see previously, if I didn't add the description, you could see MPV : and then the file name. And I did that to actually show you that it doesn't have a file link, it has this MPV link. I can now give this a description, big buck bunny, and you can see it's inserted that link there. And if I press Control A, capital A, and then well, basically if I delete the closing bracket, you see the format of the link here. We've got MPV : and this is actually just inserted the sort of relative path. It hasn't inserted the full path using the insert link. So the org document has to be in the same, in this case the org document would have to be in the same directory as the video for that link to work, because it's just a relative link. We can see here we've got the, rather than having file you normally would, having this MPV link will basically hand off the links to the mpv.el package and open them up. I'll just close that off. If I press Control C, Control O, you can see that's now opening Big Buck Bunny there. Alt and spacebar to bring this menu up, and then just do always on top. We'll do that. We come back here. So you can see MPV's got focus there. If I shift across here, Emacs has got focus. Bring up that. Yeah, I can press keep the keyboard and keep that. I can keep these keys pressed. So you can see we've got the Hydra here. If I keep J or K pressed, it's going to fast forward or you know, rewind the same way as if MPV had got focus, same way as if MPV was here and I was pressing J and K, which I've got bound to go forwards and backwards in MPV. So you can do the same thing with Emacs, and said if you keep the keys pressed, it will, so you don't have to keep pressing J and K, J and K, J and K. You just keep them pressed and it's gonna scroll through like that. So we've got a way to scrub through. We can press O to actually show the on-screen display here, and the on-screen display isn't actually captured in the screenshots, so don't have to worry about it accidentally adding the on-screen display to all your screenshots. That's not going to happen. It's just, it's helpful to have that set up there. And if you've got MPV focused, you can disable it with capital O. Capital O enables it. Lowercase o just shows it briefly, then hides it. Okay, but it's helpful to have that there, and we can then actually move forward and backward frames. You can see here down in the Hydra, back frame, forward frame. I can actually move forward like this, come back. So what we're doing is that the advantage of this is you can actually go frame by frame. So you can see here this frame is a bit out of focus here on the guy there, his eye. If I go forward a frame, it's much sharper. So I can now press S on the keyboard. See, I've got Emacs focused. We don't actually get a message showing that it's taken a screenshot, but if I do it from within MPV, you do actually get a message coming up showing you it's taken a screenshot and actually the file name of the screenshot that it's taken. So this is how we can actually come through, and I covered playlists as well in a previous video. So what we can do is actually load stuff up. So I'll show you that, and taking screenshots of stuff. So I'll just quit this here, but I just wanted to show you how you can actually create the link. So I'll just finish up on the Emacs init.el and then just show you how you can queue up a load of videos and just take screenshots from them using MPV. Okay, so this is basically, this is related to the Hydra. This is how we can insert the timestamp of the of the playhead position in MPV into an org document. So that's what all this section here is actually related to, and how I override the org timer so that it uses milliseconds for MPV because by default it doesn't. So this is what allows us to, this bit of code is how we can actually get millisecond accuracy with org files and being able to seek to that exact point in the video. So when we're in combination with the OSD fraction setting for MPV, which adds millisecond support, we then use that so that we insert that exact time code into the org document, so we can actually just press a keyboard shortcut and jump to that point in the video. So that's what that's for. These are the MPV commands for the Hydra. So what we've got is with eval after load MPV, got frame forward, backwards. We've got the screenshot here, and so the way that this works is it uses this MPV and Q command with the name of the command that we will want to execute. In this case, screenshot, and the name here, screenshot, corresponds to the name in the man page, basically. So you can actually search through and find all the names of the commands for MPV and actually create a Hydra for all these different commands. So you can send them to MPV, which is pretty cool. That's showing the on-screen display, adding a new line in the current document. And this is the MPV diode section that I covered in a previous video. What this does is we basically create a list of MIME types for video and audio. Here you can see supported MIME types: Matroska, MP4, WebM, M4V, WAV, AAC, FLAC, OGG. And then what we do is we actually run this get MIME types command on files that we want to open, and it uses file command to check the MIME type of the file. And if it's an audio or video file, what it will basically do is it will run these two commands down here. It will check the MIME type, and then if it's a video or audio file, it will run this MPV play diode command. Otherwise, it will actually open the file with Emacs. And what this MPV play diode command does is it will actually queue up videos. So you can actually open the first video, and then any subsequent videos that you open with diode will be appended to the playlist and will play sequentially after the first video. And down here, what we've got is another bit for MPV and EWW that I showed in the previous video, so that we can just press a single keyboard shortcut and queue up videos to be played with EWW using Invidious, which is a open source front end to YouTube without all the ads, running in a Docker container or Podman. And then we've got the Hydra down here. If I just bring that back down there, you can see this is what actually shows up in the Hydra when I press F2. We got the all the actions we can perform: seek forward, backwards, and insert the playhead position, all that kind of stuff. And those are all the commands and the functions that they actually call. And then we've got EDNC, which I was mentioning. It's the Emacs Desktop Notification Center that you can actually override the GNOME Desktop Notification Center and use Emacs instead, so that whenever I get a desktop notification from YouTube, like a comment or something, it comes up in Emacs. See if I can open that buffer. EDNC log. I haven't got anything in there. But that means any notifications come up there, and I can actually run Google Translate on the notification, which is pretty cool. Okay, EL feed, that's EL feed and MPV. You can use you can use EL feed, and there's an option. There's a package called EL feed tube MPV, which is just awesome. That brings in like a live transcript and stuff like that, and you can actually set the default options for that as well. So you can see here, this is how you can set the default options for MPV with EL feed tube MPV. Okay, that's some stuff at EL feed tube. MPC. Okay, this is another useful bit of code, shell path. I'll finish this up and then I'll show you going through the videos and queuing them up and taking screenshots. But this is so that when you run a command from Emacs that allows you to run a command in the background, you can run shell script, for example, on a file. What this does is this also adds all the binaries in your shell path. So by default, Emacs doesn't look in like your local bin directory or local user, local local bin, all those kind of stuff. If you've got appended custom things to your path, it won't look in there. Adding this bit of code will mean that you can actually run any of your shell scripts from your bin directory in your home from within Emacs. Okay, so now let's have a look. Okay, so what I've got here is a load of Laurel and Hardy movies, and what I'll do is I'll come through and I can actually open these up. So I'll put this on top. Okay, and this is actually going to add these screenshots to this directory, but then we'll see if we can kind of move them by marking them all. So I've got the first video queued up, open here. What I can now do is just come across, and any other file that I open, you can see here added to the current playlist. I can just come through, add all these Laughing Gravy, and I can now bring up the Hydra and I can actually come through and actually take screenshots and then jump to the next item in the playlist. So let me just don't want to mute the audio. I'll just mute the audio just in case. So I'll just fast forward here. I want to take a screenshot of that. S on the keyboard. Okay. There we go. Bang. Take a screenshot. I can press. You can see here. These are the items I've got for the playlist. Next, previous. Jump to playlist entry or remove playlist entry. So I press N, it's going to jump to the next video. Press S, take a screenshot. Same thing. If I press E, I can jump to the playlist entry. So here you can see it's showing me all the items in the playlist, and it's showing me the currently selected item in the playlist, which is birthmarks. I can either use the arrow keys to move up and down, or I can just use auto completion brats. That's going to jump to the next item. If the video is playing, if there's the video is paused when I jump to the next item in the playlist, the next item in the playlist is going to be paused. If it's playing when you jump to the next item, it will automatically be playing. It's not going to be paused. So again, here I can just come through. Again, use the seek. I can use these seek keys down here, H, J, K, and L to seek backwards, 5 seconds, 50, 60, forwards 60 or forward 5, and I can use comma and period to go back a frame. So I can just keep pressing period here till we get that up, and just press S. Okay, so now we've done that. I can press escape, and let's just mark all of the JPEGs. So if I do asterisk dot, I can press JPEG. Okay, and I think that should have marked all the JPEGs. Let's try moving those to the desktop. Okay, to unmark them, we'll do capital U, and I think these are ones actually that were originally in the thingy. And let me just unmark all delete the big bunnies. Okay, yeah. So what you can see here is we've got the file name dash and then the actual time code. Yeah, that's really useful. And again, you can just come across here and you can actually just copy this. Yeah, you can just basically copy the time code from these stills, and as I showed you, you can actually stick them in an org file and jump to those exact bits. I put them in the source code block because, as I said, you could use an example block, but with a source code block, you can actually set it to be exported like a plain text. So rather than having to kind of copy this and then copy it to another file, you can just like export it to a text file, and then use those time codes to chop up the video, that sort of thing. So that's how we can also sort of do stuff up with Emacs and Diode, and then easily just go through, take screenshots like that. And again, we can also just use script or wrote, extract frame in big buck. Yeah, get the time code for 51, and you can see here we've got big buck bunny 451.png, and that's the point in the video. So what I wanted to do was, after coming across the MPV settings for adding the time code to the video, I thought I might as well do the same thing for my script as well. So I did. So I'll put links to all this under the video, and hope that helps out making your screenshots a bit more relevant and easy to actually find in the video. Because if I come across and show you what it looks like by default, let me just delete all these and just show you what this looks like by default. Okay, put some of these. mpv.config, config, mpv.config. If I mark this out, try and comment this, switch across, and press screenshot, what you'll see is by default it's just called mpv shot 001.jpg, which is not terribly useful in figuring out where in the video it came from. So just enabling OCD fractions and the screenshot template. Yeah, so the advantage here is two things. Suppose you go through and you take a load of screenshots from a load of different videos. With the default settings, you won't have a clue which video they're from, because MPV shot 001.jpg, what video is that actually related to? Whereas with this, what we got is the file name and the time code with the hours, minutes, seconds and milliseconds. And there we go. So that's a much better way of doing it than the default, which is pretty useless, especially as I said, if you were going through processing a load of different videos, like that whole directory of Laurel and Hardy videos. The issue is you wouldn't know what any of the screenshots related to, which videos they related to, whereas this way you can see what it's related to and the exact point in the video. You can copy that time code and jump to that time code from within Emacs. So that's creating screenshots or extracting a frame from a video with either MPV or FFmpeg, and also running all source blocks asynchronously with the ob-async package. So I'll put links to all this under the video, and that's all for now.